Hello and welcome back to the channel, David's Insight. Another weekly Vigilantes episode has just dropped in. Per usual, I'll be reviewing the episode, titled, B. As usual, before I get into the episode, it's worth mentioning that I am an anime-only fan of the show. So with that being said, the episode jumpstarts with Koichi returning to his home after a long day of class, where he was learning about the history of heroes, originating from vigilantes. He then has a short monologue to himself about how he has to live as a regular, typical teenage boy who has to go to school and has a part-time job. He finds a supposed stranger, who is most clearly Knuckle Duster, helping himself to his food, beer, and television. It was nice that we finally got a Knuckle Duster face reveal. Before Koichi can do anything, the stranger puts a mask on his face revealing that he is Knuckle Duster, which calms Koichi down. The vigilante explains he swung by the place since he got off work early, which shocks Koichi that Knuckle Duster is also hired with a part-time job, and entered by punching in the window and unlocking it from the inside, much to Koichi's annoyance. The student then hears a knock on the door and opens it to find a timid high school girl with bushy, pink hair. She then rushes in without a greeting and starts applying face makeup on herself, revealing her to be Popstep, getting ready for one of her upcoming shows later. The following scene then has an amusing dynamic between the trio. As Pop sets up a curtain to change behind, she starts bickering with Knuckle Duster about keeping his coat on her side of the room, while Koichi isn't too thrilled at his teammates getting too comfortable in his home. Koichi soon leaves for work, with his shift starting right around the time Pop is doing her show. As she begins the next song, the girl asks the audience to form a line to get a handshake from her. One of her fans, Teruo Onijisawa, tries to crawl up to the front but is swiftly knocked back by another patron for trying to cut line. Ikimoku and Yubei then walk up to him, and after checking if he's hurt, advises him to wait his turn like everyone else and not be selfish about their shared admiration for the idol. Ikimoku doesn't take his own advice and fires a blast into the air, which earns him some attention and a compliment from Popstep, which angers Yubei. Teruo then grows impatient from all the waiting and stabs a trigger vial into his neck. He then transforms into a large, slimy, eel-like creature and begins chasing Pop with a fanboyish craving for his handshake, and once again Pop is treated as a damsel. Koichi catches the altercation just as his shift ends and immediately suits up as the crawler and chases after them, along with Ikimoku, Yubei, and a just-arriving Knuckle Duster. The crawler manages to catch up to Teruo and grab his lower body, while Knuckle Duster swings down from above to deliver a punch. Their restraint attempts fail, and once again, they fall into a pile of trash. Seriously, this gag is beginning to lose its funniness. The slime on Teruo's body prevents them from getting physical with the instant villain. While thinking about how to deal with the slime, Knuckle Duster notices a nearby udon shop. Popstep then gets a call from the crawler and he asks her to lead the young man into an alleyway for a handshake, as he believes it will calm him down since he's a huge fan of hers that seemingly got carried away. While disgusted, Pop agrees and shakes Teruo's transformed hand, seems to calm him down at first. However, he gets way too excited and begins to coil his body around her to try and steal a kiss from her with his giant, lamprey-like mouth. Now, as for a supposed little boy, he sure is really creepy. The beginning of the episode was indeed very strange thanks to this kid. The pair are then hit with an avalanche of flour from the crawler and Knuckle Duster, which they borrowed from the udon shop. Since the substance absorbed all the moisture on Teruo's skin, Knuckle Duster is able to quickly finish the instant villain off with several punches and restrain him. Same as before with the hardening user, the vigilantes are having difficulty identifying him, this time because most instant villains shred their clothes and scatter their personal belongings when they take a hit of trigger. The three then start to leave as they hear the police arriving, and Popstep saying she needs to bathe after being caked in slime and flour. Later that night, back at Koichi's, a now clean Popstep complains to Koichi about the quality of his shampoo, while Knuckle Duster steps out of the bath and expresses his own grievances about the college student being out of beer, even though he was the one who drank it all. Then Pop complains to the old man about his smoking and the fact that he's walking around in only his underwear, although Knuckle Duster doesn't care what she thinks. As Knuckle Duster and Popstep continue arguing, Koichi steps out to dry everyone's costumes. Another humorous scene expressing the funny dynamic between the three. Although his dreams of a bustling, fulfilling college life never came true, being stuck with a boring day job and no friends from school, the young man is grateful for his new teammates bringing some color into his life. Up in a police station, Naomasa is conversing with his colleague Izo Tanuma about all the instant villain cases that have been piling up over the last several days. The detective notes that all of these cases have popped up in the same areas, the Narahata shopping district and the eastern part of the ward. Izo isn't too surprised considering the area's bad reputation when it comes to crime, but says it shouldn't be hard to find leads with the area of reports being so small. Naomasa isn't too sure, as each of the instant villains said they all received their vials of trigger from the same, unknown source. The detective believes the free distribution is meant to get their users hooked so they can actually spend money on the drug later on, but Izo doubts it due to Trigger's hefty street cost. Naomasa asks him for any possible motives outside of that, and Izo spitballs the free distribution being some kind of investment for a much bigger reason, whether it be political, anarchical, or something else entirely. The next day, Koichi and Pop are relaxing in the former's house. I do like Pop's casual design. The girl receives a message from Yubei and Ikimoku. Apparently, Teruo was released from police custody, and the two started getting to know him better with the hopes that he'll spill on who specifically gave him his vial of trigger. After Pop shuts down Koichi's attempt to call Knuckle Duster, out of the fear that he'll just assault Teruo again, the pair decided to meet with the middle schoolers on their own to get any new information. It really goes to show how much Knuckle Duster wants to put a stop to Trigger, that he's willing to harm little kids. The two get into their costumes and begin walking, with Pop nervously hanging onto the crawler's arm so she doesn't trip in her platform shoes. And I'm guessing this is the start of the Koichi and Pop step ship. As for if they get together in the show, I'm unaware of. They are then spotted by an excited fan who was walking with her friends, Kin Hachisuka. She asks Pop to take a picture with her. After taking a picture with the fan, the vigilantes meet up with Ikimoku near a cafe, who says that Yubei and Teruo will be joining them soon, as the pair went off to buy some merch earlier. The two then notice Knuckle Duster sitting at the cafe who asks to join them, despite the three's fears that the man will jeopardize their meet-up. Later on, Keen is still gushing about the photo she took with Popstep while she strolls with her classmates, before the other girls begin to freak out from a bee supposedly buzzing around them. A hornet with an abdomen that looks like a tiny syringe full of trigger then crawls under Keen's eye patch and causes the girl to jolt. She tells her friends that she has to bail on their karaoke plans for a sudden work call and then runs into a secluded alleyway. Once she's alone, Keen plucks off her eye patch as more of those bee-like arthropods begin to flood out of her eye socket, as her part-time job is villain work. Using her quirk, Queen Bee, which is a very interesting quirk, she sends the swarm of insects into the Narahata shopping district, as she uses them to set the town abuzz, which is a weird initial villain motivation, but I'm guessing there'll be some clarity later. The insects begin stinging random civilians and injecting them with trigger, causing their quirks to go haywire and wreak havoc in the area, and both Yubei and Teruo get separated. In the police station, Sansa gets reports of the situation, as Naomasa calls for his men to send out any heroes in the area to deal with the problem. By the time the Crawler and Popstep notice the commotion off in the distance, a slew of pro-heroes, including Airjet, All Might, Endeavor, Ingenium, and more, swoop in and take out all the instant villains in no time flat, which was very enjoyable to watch. I find it comical how in the last episode, Naomasa was going to suspend a supposed hero for using excessive force, yet these heroes go all out on poor civilians turned villains. While at the cafe, Knuckle Duster notices one of the bees flying alone, and chases it until he manages to catch it. Then he runs into Yubei, who is looking for Teruo. He asks the middle schooler if he's seen any suspicious individuals with a bee quirk. To his frustration, the boy says no. Angered by this, the vigilante crushes the insect in his palms. This causes Keen to get a headache and blood to trickle out of her obscured eye as she curses the old man for hurting her girls, apparently recognizing Knuckle Duster and that he was the cause of her sudden injury. Teruo, who met up with her during the attack, asks if she's okay. Keen cheerily assures the young Popstep fan that she's fine, as she grabs his hand and uses their shared admiration of the teen idol to lure him to an unknown destination inside a dark alley. Knuckle Duster and Yubei return to the cafe, along with Koichi, Popstep, and Ikimoku still there. While Yubei explains to the others what happened, Knuckle Duster looks off to the side, frustrated, mulling over being unable to find the one responsible for the chaos today. The next episode shows that there'll be more villains showing up, and Koichi will be working with Ingenium to progress his power, which is very fitting. We will also see Keen once again, who Knuckle Duster seems to know. Maybe we'll find out where Knuckleduster knows this B-themed supervillain from in the next episode. I think the episode has earned itself a 7.3 out of 10. It set up a lot of interesting plot points, had some nice character dynamics, and gave us some context towards Kochi's character. We have now come to the end of the video. Please be sure to like, comment your own thoughts about the episode down in the comments section below, and click on the subscribe button if you would like to continue to watch Vigilantes content and more. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good rest of your day.